10 things you didn't know could kill you.
Air hoses.
Air hoses? Like ones that blow up tires?
Contrary to belief, air hoses are extremely dangerous, although they're often used for filling up cars.
Yo, you know what I always... Okay, similar to air hoses. Not really. I have always heard that the watering gun, whatever it's called, for farms, the farm irrigation system, you ever see one of these? It shoots water like... No, not a pressure washer. One of these. It shoots water like a football field. It's like a big sprinkler. I've heard that if you put your hand in front of it, it'll shoot a hole right through your hand, and I'm always like, I don't believe that. So if I was ever Deadpool, that would be the first thing that I would try. If I had regenerative abilities, the first thing I would do is put my hand in front of one of those things.
Blowing out dust in keyboards and inflating huge bouncy castles.
All right, who's using an air hose to blow out their keyboard?
Tear through skin, damage internal organs, or even be fatal if mishandled. On a calm morning in May 2011, a truck driver in New Zealand was going about his daily routine. He climbed onto the rigging between his truck's cab and trailer, a place he'd stood countless times before. But in one unlucky moment, his boot slipped, and instead of...
Oh my god, I heard about this. Wait, he didn't die, though. His butthole went... Or the air hose went up his butthole, and it blew him up. But then he had to wait a few days, and it went back down, right?
Falling on steady ground, the man fell backwards straight onto his compressed air hose. The brass nozzle punctured him through his left buttock, and in an instant, high-pressurized...
Oh, it didn't go through his butthole, never mind.
...air about 100 pounds per square inch began flooding into his body. As if it were straight out of a cartoon, the man's body began to inflate in size. Air forced its way beneath his muscles and fat, separating his tissue like it were sheets of paper. His chest tightened, his skin stretched, and his face ballooned into a grotesque puff. Co-workers who happened to cross his path screamed in terror. They quickly rushed to his side, shocked at the mortifying sight. They shut off the air supply and carefully rolled him onto his side, knowing his lungs and heart were under pressure. Ice packs
knowing his heart and lungs were under pressure? Bro, what? I would have no idea. There's no training that prepares you for that. Like, if you're a paramedic and you're like, yeah, some guy just fell on an air hose, it just blew up his body, what do you do?
Against his swollen neck and chest to try and ease the suffocating strain. Ambulance crews arrived as fast as they could, but when they found the man, he could barely breathe. His body literally doubled in size. It was full with so much air that every time an EMT tried to put a needle in his body to start an IV, the air would just push it right out. Doctors later...
There's no way to, like... this is going to sound stupid. They can't, like, squeeze him? Like you're deflating like a raft? No, serious. Like, I'm not trying to be stupid right now. Like, if my friend had an air hose shoved in his ass and it blew him up, I would go, I'm going to squeeze you. And then it would, like, blow out the air. He could die. So what the fuck do you do? Start poking holes in his body?
Compared his skin to feeling like densely packed bubble wrap just waiting to explode. But luckily for this man, he didn't explode. It took days for the air to escape his tissue, but against all odds, he survived by farting it all out of his body.
Wow. He had to fart all the air out? How did the air get, like, if the air's in his arm, though, it, like, absorbs into his body and then he has to rip ass? I've heard this story before, but I forgot that he had to fart the air out. I thought it just, like, it dissipated over time.
Others, however, wouldn't be as lucky. Like the time a poultry worker in Mississippi got carried away with his friend while horseplaying, and for some odd reason, he decided to stick an air hose in his,
While they were, a few guys were roughhousing and they shoved an air hose up his ass.
Others, however, wouldn't be as lucky. Like the time a poultry worker in Mississippi got carried away with his friend while horseplaying, and for some odd reason, he decided to stick an air hose in his, yeah. The air pressure from the hose was so immense that he blew up from the inside, rupturing most of his organs in the process.
Okay, you know... Imagine being the guy that did that, and you're like, okay, it's a fucked up thing to do regardless, but it's like, you kill him on the spot, he explodes right in front of you. Oh my God, what do you fucking do? What is your response now? Like, you're just sitting there watching that, like, this guy just died because I shoved an air hose up his ass?
Surprisingly, there are a lot of cases like this, so...
This happened more than twice? Man enjoys inflated reputation after impaled on high-pressure air hose. Horseplay leads to deadly accident at poultry plant. How many people are dying from shoving air hoses up their ass?
Even though they're fun to play with, air hoses are dangerous. Always keep them in safe places and please don't misuse them. A broken heart. It shouldn't be, but true love often feels like one of the rarest things to find in life. And once you...
Yeah, but how are you dying from a broken heart? Like getting broken up with? I could see that, but you wouldn't die from the broken heart. You would die from stress, right? Or like just sadness, like sadness or depression. Like, yeah, you could have like, that could hurt your blood pressure or some way. You have a heart attack, but you're not going to die from a broken heart.
You never want it to leave you. Such wasn't the case for a man who was forced to read his wife's eulogy at her funeral after he supported her for a 4-year battle against ovarian cancer. The pair were inseparable. The man became engaged.
Oh my God, and he got so emotional he died?
To her when he was just 21 years old, and the two would go on to be married for 30. 4 years. That's nearly twice my age. And now, instead of making more memories with the companion of his life, he was making funeral speeches and writing thank you letters to those who came to the service. The amount of exertion something like this can have on one's heart is no joke. Only mere moments after the eulogy, the man was found slumped over in his house, in the middle of writing thank you letters. He had literally passed away from a broken heart. Doctors said his grief...
Wow. He might have had like predisposed health conditions, but even so, man, you're married to a woman for 34 years. She dies battling cancer, and you're so stressed and sad that you just die.
...to have a heart attack. And this wasn't just an isolated incident. It's a phenomenon that happens to many others as well. It's called broken...
I would not want to be... I've said, like... Let's, hypothetically, me and Brooke live to 80, you know? I know we're not married right now, but, like, that would be the ideal for me. We make it to 80, like, I would want to go first. And women hold that better. Would you guys want to go before or after your partner? Dude, that's, like, another level of grieving. That's selfish. It is selfish. I know it's selfish, but it's selfish off of statistics. Women deal with their husband's death better than men deal with their wives' death. That is a statistical fact. I'm serious. I'm not like fucking around. Obviously, it's person to person.
Cardiomyopathy. It's a temporary heart condition triggered by intense emotional or mental stress that makes the heart's main pumping chamber weaken.
Wouldn't the solution just be get close-knit friends? It's easier said than done. Guys, when I get drunk and I'm with my friends, is when I'm like, you know, I really love you guys. You guys are really there for me. I really appreciate you. You know, you don't say that sober to another guy friend usually. Like almost ever. Like women will just say that to each other. You know, they'll be nice. But it's like guys do it when they're drunk. Because it's like they want to say it, but it's like that social barrier. You're born and raised as a guy in society being like, that's weak if you fucking do that, right? So it's like normal if you're drunk, but if it's like you're sober and you just walk up to your friend and you're like, hey man, I love you. He'd be like, whoa.
Causing it to mimic the symptoms of a literal heart attack. Soda cans. Imagine that it's a hot summer day and you've done nothing but bask in the sun's overwhelming rays of heat all morning. You're parched, so you go indoors to get yourself a nice cold can of soda. But, to your disappointment, none of the drinks were put away in the fridge. They were left out on the table, so now they're just warm and gross.
And then you pull the risky maneuver of putting a soda can in the freezer to fast track the cold process, but you got to really bank that you don't forget about it, otherwise it'll explode in the freezer. It's the fucking tale as old as time.
You come up with an idea. You take one of the cans of soda and throw it into the freezer in order to speed up the cooling of the beverage.
That's high IQ. Nothing's wrong with that.
To wait for it to cool down, you go and watch some YouTube and then end up falling asleep. Hours pass, and you forget that you left the soda in there. Eventually, when you wake up and stumble across your fridge again, you remember that you put a soda in its freezer.
Has somebody died from this? Is he saying that, like, the pressure built up so much in the can that when he opened it, it, like, exploded and killed him?
Hoping that the drink hasn't frozen solid, you quickly take it out of the freezer, crack it open, and boom. Just like that. The can explodes like a hand grenade right in front of your face. This is a real case that happened to a boy in China on August 25th, 2012. Luckily for this boy, however, medical professionals were able to save him and nurse him back to health. Frozen soda cans are extremely dangerous, and in some cases, they're even lethal. Freezing them forces the carbon dioxide in the soda to create tightly packed reservoirs inside of the can.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, you shouldn't put soda in the freezer anyway, but it's like, it's safer if it's a plastic bottle versus a metal can, I'm assuming. In that the pressure will just build.
Create tightly packed reservoirs inside of the can that store high amounts of energy similar to a bomb. So keep your soda in the fridge, and if you do put it in the freezer, don't forget to take it out so that you don't go boom, boom.
Yo, I'm going to put y'all on real quick. You ever made a soda pop before? Get an ice cube tray, put your favorite soda in it, put it in the freezer, and then after it's like kind of half frozen, just put a bunch of toothpicks in it, and then let it full freeze. Now you got soda pops.
Gooning.
Gooning? Oh my god, this guy.
Have you been here before?
I'll be swift on the topic. The risk of passing away from this is extremely low, especially if you're a healthy individual. However, if you're struggling with any underlying cardiovascular diseases, it's possible that excessiveness could trigger a heart attack, arrhythmia, or a stroke. On September 18th, in 2019, a heartbroken teen suffering from depression would find himself unable to ignore how his last Valentine's Day went. I don't really know how, but he snuck past his parents and locked himself away in a room where he then gooned himself to destruction. He gooned 56 times until he had a heart attack.
56? How do they know how many times? How do they know how many times he did this? How do they know how many times he did this? Like, I feel like this has to be a fake fucking story. This kid locked himself in the room, gooned 56 times, and died. How do they know? Who did they interview?
However, I'd take this case with a huge gulp of salt, because due to the bizarreness of his passing, tons of media outlets have exaggerated how he went out.
Yeah, I feel like he might have just had a heart attack, bro.
Often claiming that he did it 100 times and ripped his thing off his body.
No.
Which is obviously just not true.
55's the limit then? All right, let's not ask about the limit, bro. What are you talking about? Like, oh, like you're getting out of stamina so hard that you're gonna die, dude. 55 times is insane. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I feel like he probably just had a heart attack while, doing it.
Which is obviously just not true. Vending machines. He was infuriated. A man had just put the only dollar he had on him into the vending machine, and his snack was stuck inside of the machine floating in limbo. The problem had a simple solution. Just shake the stupid clanker. The man began rocking the vending machine back and forth over and over again until his snack finally fell and was free for him to take.
Yo, bro, I used to be like a scavenger by vending machines. I remember my mom used to have to take me to like this thing that she worked at when I was young. And they had a vending machine, like room full of like 4 different vending machines. She'd give me like $1, but I wanted something that was like $1.50. And so I would fucking like, I remember I would literally look under the vending machine and grab like loose change. And I would walk around the area and get like 50 cents somehow. Or in the coin slots for the, and I would just like wait for somebody to like buy something and not grab the change. Oh my God, it was so fun. I miss those days, bro. I love vending machines. I gotta say that. Like if I went to Japan, I know I would spend an entire day just buying shit from vending machines. I don't know why I find it so cool, but it's like, dude, you're like window shopping, you know? You like drive by, you're like, oh shit, they got a bunch of options. Like, I'm grabbing a cherry pep right out of this. Maybe a Diet Dr. P. Planters peanuts for sure. I'm getting the Doritos and a Snickers bar. Or Milky Way, maybe. Definitely not a Reese's cup. I do love Reese's, but that's not enough food.
Unfortunately, however, it wouldn't be the only thing to fall. The 1,200-pound vending machine would also tip over on him and crush his neck against a wall. The man would be pinned against the wall, struggling to keep the machine from fully flattening his neck, but sadly, his efforts would prove to be fruitless. He wouldn't survive to see the next day. More people pass away from vending machines than they do shark attacks.
Yeah, is that a true statistic? I feel like people say that all the time. Who the hell, how are that many people dying from vending machines every year? are they always just falling on top of them? He just said it. I know he just said it, but I'm saying is every person that's dying. What other way could you die from a vending machine? Getting electrocuted? Like somehow if it short circuits and fucking zaps you?
There's about 2 to 4 casualties from vending machines each year in the US. So,
4 people died. Bro, what a way to go. What a way to go. You get fucking crushed by a vending machine.
if the machine isn't giving up your snack, you can get angry at it, you can swear at it, but don't get into a fight with it. 10 out of 10 times, you will lose. Sudden choking. Imagine this. You're hanging out with your friends, chilling at a party, and conversing with other.
I saw one TikTok the other day that was like, if you ever start choking at a restaurant, don't call for help. Just accept it like a man. Like, instead of making a whole scene and being like, he was like, put an AirPod in, play your favorite song, and just stare forward. He was like a captain going down with the ship. No, I'm fucking. I will say I have been choking on on multiple occasions. Not to the point where like I think I'm gonna die, but I don't really chew my food. I eat too fast, and so sometimes I'll get lodged here, and I'm like Bevo, and it's like half stuck in my throat. Or like Brooke will be talking to me. There's been multiple times where I'm chewing. Dude, it's like every other day, honestly. I'll be like eating something and I'm half choking. And like I can breathe, but it's like very withered. Like I like a lot of my air pipes like blocked. And so she's asking me a question and I'm like, and it like I feel the food slowly go down my throat and I go, and I'm like fucking hyperventilating. She's like, were you just choking? I'm like, yeah. I don't think I would make a scene unless the water method didn't work. I always reach for the water, right? Reach for the water. You take a sip of water. If the water blocks, that's where I'm going. Fucking start panicking. I'm going to be like, punch me in the stomach. Get the food out of me.
People while losing track of time. And then that's when it hits you. You start choking on literally nothing. It's called a
choking on nothing?
laryngospasm. It's a sudden, violent, and involuntary spasm of your vocal cords that is so forceful that it entirely blocks your body's airways. Mild cases of laryngospasms last just a few seconds, while more intense cases can last up to a few minutes, which is pretty.
Do you know the Heimlich? No. If somebody was choking, I would probably go behind them and just go like this on their stomach. Like, I would be like, like, oh wait, let's jab straight on Bob. All right, so Bob's choking. Is that like what you're supposed to do? That's what I would do. I would be like you pull into their stomach, pull up, and then pick them up. And then I'm assuming that would they would vomit.
For your life and suffocating on nothing. If this ever happens to you, don't panic or try to gasp.
I've been choking on stream before, and I reach for the water and I go
for extra air. Remaining calm helps your muscles relax. Take small sips of water to clear any possible irritants causing the spasm and apply pressure on the soft spots behind your earlobes. It'll help your vocal cords ease up. And most important,
I think that's easier said than done. If you're actively choking, you instantly enter a state of panic. I don't think you're going to be like, all right, apply pressure on the back of my earlobes. Like, I'm not going to fucking remember that. I'm just going to be like, oh my God, I'm choking.
Importantly, seek professional help. Restaurant signs. In January 2023, a swarm of fierce winds ripped through Elizabethtown, Kentucky. A family arrived at their favorite local Denny's to start their
you have a favorite Denny's?
Morning off with some warm pancakes and coffee. An entirely questionable option for breakfast.
Some warm pancakes that you sit 5 hours waiting for. I've never seen a happy person at Denny's.
No offense. However, towering above the Denny's parking lot was an 80-foot sign weighing more than a ton. To most, the sign was a glowing beacon for bacon, eggs, and pancakes. But for this family, it became the last thing they'd ever see. A 72-year-old woman sat in the car with her husband and daughter
Oh my God, there's like a gust of wind knock it over and it crushes them.
when a storm outside struck. The pole groaned under the wind's pressure, then, without warning, it suddenly snapped. The massive sign came crashing down on the car, crushing the roof and trapping the family inside. Unfortunately, the 72-year-old lady didn't survive its impact, and her husband would also go on to pass away from the injuries the accident gave him.
Wow. Is that like at fault of Denny's? Like, would the family sue Denny's or like the corporation, or does that count as just like, oh shit, this is like a bad natural disaster? Yeah, because their sign was probably fucked up already if wind was able to knock it over.
There are multiple cases where restaurant signs, gas station signs, and storefronts fall on people. So, never be discouraged to keep your distance from an unstable-looking board that's giving you an off feeling when you're entering a business. It might.
Do you think anybody's actually died from a piano falling on them? I feel like that's like a movie and a TV, like old cartoon trope.
We all do it. You're sitting in a job interview, or in a library, or in front of your date, and then you feel it coming. The tingling sensation that
I know a guy that died from, well, I don't know. It was a family friend that died from sneezing. He sneezed like 60 times in a row, had a heart attack, and died.
tickles the small hairs inside of your nose,
Because your heart stops, right?
letting you know that you're about to sneeze. The natural thing to do is to let that sneeze fly. Well, while trying to not make a mess. But oftentimes instead, we just find ourselves stifling the sneeze. Don't. My anatomy teacher
I never stifle a sneeze. That's pussy shit. Let it out. Motherfuckers that do that and they hold it in and they sneeze in their own nostrils. I'm like, yeah, your head's gonna explode. I'm fucking letting it rip. On the floor if I have to. Snot everywhere, don't care.
in high school always told us to break the habit, and honestly, it makes sense as to why. During a sneeze, if your mouth and nose are both closed, the pressure generated in the airways can surpass more than 20 times its normal amount. And in a recent case during 2023, a man sick with hay fever held in his sneeze by instinctively pinching his nose and closing his mouth. The force that built up in his airways was so immense that it literally tore open his windpipe. It's extremely rare to pass away from this, but nonetheless, holding in a sneeze just isn't worth gambling your life.
I will say, you know how you can sneeze out of your mouth or your nose? Sometimes you'll have a sneeze that's obviously one or the other. Have you ever had a sneeze that's like maybe a mouth sneeze, maybe a nose sneeze, and you're like, all right, I'm going to switch airways and sneeze out of my nose, and then you kind of half do it, and you just sneeze in your throat, and it's like, it makes that noise, and it hurts so fucking bad. Oh, that's the worst.
Christmas trees. There's no better feeling in the world than to finish setting up your Christmas tree just in time for the holidays. Nothing beats a Christmas with fruitcake, eggnog, and a house fire. US fire departments respond to an average of 200 home fires caused by Christmas trees each year. And as you would presume, these fires lead to casualties. Christmas tree house fires are significantly more dangerous than normal fires in your home.
But how is a Christmas tree setting on fire? Like if you have a real one and the lights short circuit or some shit, catch it on fire? That's why you got to get a fake tree.
Usually occur at night or early morning when people have gone to sleep but left all of their decorations plugged in and lit up. They're usually caused by candles that were placed too close to the tree, faulty wires, or heat caused by all of the decorative electrical elements. And as a
I've had a few sketchy Christmas tree setups. You have an extension cord into an extension cord into a power strip into another extension cord. Got a kind of chain of electricity going through.
opposed to normal house fires that are slow and steady in their startup, Christmas fires with a dry tree can ignite and spread across a room in less than just 30 seconds. So, with that being said, try not to get too carried away with your holiday spirit this year. Doing nothing. You see that signs can fall on you, beverages can explode in your face, and that Christmas trees can set you ablaze in your sleep. So you decide that the best course of action for you to avoid all danger is doing absolutely nothing. And then you explode into a ferocious blaze,
We'll just die of boredom.
so powerful that it leaves nothing but your feet behind. Weirdly enough, nothing else around you is affected. Not the couch you were sitting on, not the table in front of you, not the rug on the floor. Nothing. Just only specifically you. This is known as spontaneous human combustion. And there are
This is a real fucking thing? What the hell are you talking about? What? Huh?
many cases in the US about it. However, Scientists nowadays discredit it fully and dub it as nothing more than a myth. They rather believe it to be the wick
What was that? I've never heard of that before. There was a myth that if you just stood still and did nothing, you would just randomly explode.
effect, which is when a person's clothing absorbs melted body fat during a fire and causes them to burn up, but leaves their surroundings relatively unharmed.
Huh?
They rather believe it to be the wick effect, which is when a person's clothing absorbs melted body fat during a fire and causes them to burn up, but leaves their surroundings relatively unharmed. Others feel like this isn't a sufficient enough explanation to the phenomenon though. They argue that if the fire's hot enough to consume you entirely and leave nothing but ashes behind, then it should also scorch nearby walls, furniture, and flooring. They also say for the wick effect to be true, it needs a clear spark, like a lighter or a candle. But in many of the cases, the victims aren't found with anything heat-related. Toilet time. In Chicago in 1987,
There's people that have just died in their house. It's a myth. Yeah, but that is really confusing for somebody to just be like burnt alive, but their couch and everything around them to be perfectly okay.
a 70-year-old woman would board a cruise ship with her family. As they explored the wonders on board and enjoyed the pleasant feeling of being on the ocean, the old lady would be greeted with another, less than pleasant feeling. So she excused herself from her family and made her way to the ship's bathroom, and there she was greeted with the solution to her bowel troubles: the toilet. She closed the door behind her, sat on the seat, and did her business in peace. Minutes later, the ship's medical personnel would rush past the family to the bathroom where their grandma was last seen. Out of concern, the family would follow, and as if it were a scene straight out of a horror movie, they would be met with the sight of their grandma. Her insides were literally sucked out of her body by the ship's vacuum toilet. She was rushed to the emergency room once the cruise docked at a port. And
Wait, she was going to take a shit in the vacuum suction of the toilet, flushing, sucked the intestines out of her butthole. 70-year-old woman had her intestines sucked out by a vacuum toilet in a bizarre accident aboard a cruise ship last September. Common in airplanes and ships. Yeah, dude, but how much fucking suction pressure would there need to be to suck your insides out? I've flushed a vacuum toilet while I'm sitting on it.
2017, a federal class action
I wouldn't want to poop.
lawsuit was filed against a toilet company called American Standard after it received 300 reports of its toilets literally blowing up. And even this year, in 2025, a 20-year-old man suffered serious burn injuries after he pressed the flush button on his toilet and it responded with a loud explosive bang. He was rushed to a hospital where doctors revealed that 35% of his body was burned horribly by the explosion. But luckily, he
The toilet just exploded.
survived. If you couldn't tell, this was a birthday special for the channel. It's my way of thanking you guys for all the support you've given me this year. In just 2 months, we grew from 10,000 subscribers to over 250,000.
That is insane growth. W fucking vid. My God. Feel so bad at the heartbroken one. Imagine dying because you're so sad. No, that's really upsetting. It's also like your brain can't come to terms with it too. Especially when you've been married to somebody for 30 fucking 5 years, man. It's like your entire life.